settings on the ATAS platform. And the way I do that is, again, quickly going to go over my settings now. Clusters, and we want to go to delta profile. So this gives us the delta. So this gives us the indication of aggressive buyers and aggressive sellers. The other thing we want to be using as traders is the volume, right? The volume, again, we want to be using the volume profile. So again, what the volume represents is the bid and the ask together. So it's the bid and the ask. So if we quickly dissect one candle over here, let's dissect this candle, right? So this is our key level. This is our fair value gap. So when price comes into a fair value gap, and this is very, very important to understand, right? Only when price comes into a fair value gap are we looking for this entry model. And this is a entry model that I use myself personally on the 1 minute time frame, right? So here on the 5 minute time frame, we can catch the same trades on the 5 minute time frame. So if we dissect this red candle over here, we can see the candle body is red, right? But already it's really interesting. It's super interesting how we understand that the majority of the volume is situated in the lower half of the candle. We see a large amount of volume over here. What does this large amount of volume correspond to? Well, it corresponds to red delta. Red delta is aggressive selling. So that's really easy to understand, right? So the reason this strategy is essentially the backbone of every strategy and it works across every market and it's the best strategy you can use is because it doesn't lie to you. It's not going to give you a fake out liquidity sweep like the ICT concept. It's not going to give you a fake boss or a fake liquidity sweep. When you can read the numbers and understand who is actually in control at key levels, it really doesn't get more accurate than this. And this is what I want traders to understand. I want traders to at least walk away with the power of understanding the market is an auction. This auction can be read. And once the auction is read, it's very difficult to get the direction wrong if you are patient and you are fearless to execute at the right time. So we have a red candle over here with a massive amount of aggressive selling. If we dissect this candle even further, what we read over here, as price comes into the level, we see 277 market participants hitting the bid versus only 64 hitting the ask, right? 277 for 64, right? That is a large discrepancy between the aggressive sellers and the aggressive buyers. Hence why we see a very, very large red imprint of the delta. Likewise, above 418 for 281. Again, that's a large shift towards aggressive selling. Very, very important to understand this. Now, the next candle is even more interesting, where it's actually a green candle. We have a wick over here and we have a green candle. But the candle itself doesn't tell you anything. When you dive into this candle, what you really understand is that there's more sellers than there are buyers inside of a green candle. I'm going to repeat that again. You have a green candle with more sellers than buyers, right? Everyone sees a green candle and thinks, let's buy. Well, the truth is, no, you don't really want to be buying at a green candle randomly. You want to understand what's happening inside of the green candle, right? So this is 210 for 76. This means that there's a lot more aggressive sellers than buyers. Now, when we come into a bullish fair value gap, we want the fair value gap to hold. So let's just quickly read the order flow and see what we end up getting, right? This is what's super interesting about this. Now, we see the next candle over here. This is, of course, across a 15-minute period. We see the same thing over here. And this is what I want traders to understand. The behavior at this fair value gap is the most interesting thing, right? We want to see negative delta that isn't being rewarded. So what we see over here, and a little bit over here is that we see aggressive sellers which are not being rewarded. Because if the aggressive sellers were being rewarded, we would have seen lower prices. We would have seen price come and retest lower.